Nature has a way of reminding us who's in charge. Few forces are more terrifying or more costly than hurricanes. Massive walls of wind, water, and destruction that can level cities, reshape coastlines, and leave a lasting mark on American history. Today on Deck of Facts, we're counting down the 10 most destructive hurricanes in U.S. history, based not just on wind speeds or rainfall, but by the sheer economic impact, human cost, and the long road to recovery they left behind. Some of these storms are infamous and others you may have forgotten, but all of them changed lives and changed the country. Let's begin. 10. Hurricane Rita, 2005. Just a month after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, Hurricane Rita struck the Gulf Coast in September 2005. With winds reaching 180 miles per hour at its peak, Rita caused over $25 billion in damages, making it one of the costliest storms at the time. Though it weakened before landfall in Texas and Louisiana, Rita still flooded towns, destroyed homes, and disrupted oil refineries, sending gas prices soaring. Evacuations were chaotic as record numbers of people fled from the destruction of this mighty storm. It took years for communities like Port Arthur and Cameron Parish to rebuild, with some areas never fully recovering. 9. Hurricane Ivan, 2004. Striking in September 2004, Hurricane Ivan carved a path of destruction from the Caribbean to the Gulf Coast, ultimately making landfall near Gulf Shores, Alabama. The storm caused $27 billion in damages, largely from storm surge and wind. Pensacola, Florida suffered some of the worst damage, with bridges and highways destroyed. Ivan also spun off a record number of tornadoes, adding to the chaos inland. The recovery process in Florida and Alabama lasted for years, as homeowners dealt with insurance delays, rebuilding costs, and mold from prolonged flooding. 8. Hurricane Ike, 2008. In September 2008, Hurricane Ike barreled into Texas with a massive storm surge that devastated Galveston and surrounding areas. Though it was only a Category 2 storm at landfall, Ike's size made it life-threatening. The storm caused $38 billion in damages, much of it due to flooding and power outages that lasted for weeks. Galveston Island was hit particularly hard, with entire neighborhoods washed away. Recovery took years, with federal aid and local rebuilding efforts slowly bringing life back to the coast. Interestingly, Ike also helped prompt major reforms to the U.S. power grid and FEMA response protocols. 7. Hurricane Andrew, 1992. For South Florida, Hurricane Andrew was the disaster that changed everything. In August 1992, the storm slammed into Homestead, Florida as a Category 5. Andrew whipped through South Florida with winds of 165 miles per hour, causing unimaginable destruction. Over 63,000 homes were destroyed and total damages topped $27 billion, a record at the time. Rebuilding South Miami-Dade County took more than a decade, and Andrew exposed massive flaws in building codes and insurance systems. As a result, Florida drastically rewrote its building standards and other states followed. 6. Hurricane Irma, 2017. One of the strongest hurricanes ever recorded in the Atlantic, Hurricane Irma made landfall in Florida in September 2017 after ravaging the Caribbean. Though it weakened before hitting the U.S., it still caused $52 billion in damages across Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Over 6.5 million people evacuated in anticipation of Hurricane Irma. This is the largest evacuation in Florida's history. Major cities like Jacksonville and Naples were underwater, while power outages affected nearly 75% of the state. Cleanup and rebuilding, especially in the Florida Keys, stretched on for years, with housing shortages and insurance issues making recovery painfully slow. 5. Hurricane Sandy, 2012. Nicknamed Superstorm Sandy, this October 2012 hurricane was technically not a hurricane when it struck the Northeast, but its impact was historic. Sandy caused $75 billion in damages, flooding subway tunnels in New York City, wiping out parts of New Jersey's coastline, and leaving 8 million people without power. Entire communities in Staten Island and along the Jersey Shore were destroyed. Rebuilding efforts included massive infrastructure upgrades, new flood barriers, and stronger building codes. Some areas, like Breezy Point, New York, have only recently completed full restoration over a decade later. 4. Hurricane Ida, 2021. Making landfall in Louisiana as a powerful Category 4 in August 2021, Hurricane Ida was one of the most expensive storms in U.S. history, causing $75 billion in damages. It tested the improvements made since Hurricane Katrina, and while levees held in New Orleans, areas to the south and east were devastated. Power outages stretched for weeks, and the storm's remnants even caused deadly flooding in New York and New Jersey. Ida also reignited discussions about climate change and infrastructure resilience, with billions in federal aid allocated for future-proofing vulnerable regions. 3. Hurricane Maria, 2017. When Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico in September 2017, it wasn't just a natural disaster. It became a humanitarian crisis. Maria caused over $91 billion in damages and led to widespread devastation across the island. Nearly every power line was destroyed, water systems failed, and cell service was wiped out. The official death toll was 2,975, though some estimates suggest it may have been higher. Rebuilding has been slow and painful. Years later, parts of Puerto Rico still struggle with fragile infrastructure and unreliable utilities. Maria exposed deep vulnerabilities in disaster response and led to changes in how FEMA operates in U.S. territories. 2. Hurricane Harvey, 2017. Hurricane Harvey dumped an unimaginable 60 inches of rain over parts of Texas in August 2017, turning Houston into a city of lakes. A Category 4 at landfall, Harvey stalled over southeastern Texas, unleashing catastrophic flooding that affected over 100,000 homes and caused $125 billion in damage, tying with Katrina as the costliest U.S. hurricane ever. Recovery has been ongoing for years. Entire neighborhoods were rebuilt or abandoned. Harvey also exposed gaps in flood insurance coverage and led to calls for stronger urban planning and stormwater management systems in vulnerable cities. 1. Hurricane Katrina, 2005. And finally, Hurricane Katrina remains the most infamous hurricane in modern U.S. history. In August 2005, Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast, and though New Orleans avoided a direct hit, the city's levee system failed catastrophically. 80% of New Orleans flooded. Over 1,000 lives were lost and damage estimates reached $125 billion. Entire neighborhoods like the Lower Ninth Ward were wiped out. The disaster response was widely criticized, exposing massive federal and state-level failures. Recovery has taken nearly 2 decades. Some areas have rebounded with new development, while others remain scarred and underpopulated. Katrina changed emergency management policy in the U.S. forever and highlighted the complex intersection of poverty, race, infrastructure, and climate vulnerability. These hurricanes weren't just powerful storms. They were moments that reshaped cities, lives, and national policies. From the Gulf Coast to the Northeast, each one left behind a different kind of damage: physical, emotional, economic, and a long road to healing. Which hurricane do you remember most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more deep dives like this one, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next Decafacts countdown. Until next time.